Are you ready to see how Botswana is transforming its economy and taking a leading role in Africa? We're diving deep into how this small nation is leveraging regional partnerships, building competitive industries, and empowering local businesses to thrive in the SADC and AfCFTA markets. From boosting agriculture to creating a culture of supporting local products, find out what it will take for Botswana to become a manufacturing and export powerhouse.
When you speak about SADC, especially when we look at our own space in Botswana, that we are relatively a very small populated country, but when we are together as SADC, we are speaking to a bigger market, we are speaking to a greater network, we are speaking to access to many things that we could probably not have if we were to trade in silos. But it's a good thing that at SADC level we do have engagements such as the SADC Industrialization Week, where now the private sector is given a platform to interact, to network, to revisit, discussions that would have happened in the previous year, because this is something that happens every year. Last year we were hosted by Zimbabwe in Harare, and then this time we're in Madagascar in Antananarivo. And the discussions goes on where we advise each other as countries that trade amongst each other as to where the opportunities are, what are the challenges, and again, we are all in the path of growing together as a community, as a SADC community. So it's very important that we also align on issues of policy such that we can make trading amongst ourselves as seamless and as easy as possible. And also when we look at projects, agriculture is such a huge topic and very, very important, especially when you speak to food security. Africa must feed herself. SADC must feed herself. SADC must not only feed herself, but also feed the whole continent. We speak to the AfCFTA, which of course has given SADC itself an opportunity to trade better with other African community spaces within the market. So it was a very important dialogue that we had, especially on agriculture, because remember that especially as Botswana, there is so much that we need to unlock within that particular space, especially when it comes to women. I remember one of the topics that we delved into was focused mostly on the women and the youth, how their role is defined within the agricultural space.
Right. We spoke to integration, right? And how are you as BEMA, intending to promote integration of SMEs into, regional value chain within different sectors? We spoke of agriculture, there's the mining industry as well, and the likes.
Yes, I think first of all is an issue of finding the right information within SADC, who is where, what are they doing, how can we work together. One of the initiatives that we took while we were in Madagascar was to quickly get into a strategic partnership with one of the big organizations there. It's called Group of Entrepreneurs Madagascar, pretty much of a chamber of commerce there. And strategically they are sitting as the current chair of the SADC Business Council, which of course our dream, which we are about to realize as Botswana, is to host the Secretariat for SADC Business Council. So therefore, as BEMA, we're like, no, we are not missing out on this trade.
Yeah.
If anything, we are going to make sure that we are strategically aligned with Madagascar, them being the chair of the SADC Business Council, us as Botswana being the host of the SADC Business Council Secretariat. So we want to be part of this, and being part of this means that our members or local companies have access to information, they have access to markets, they have access to networks that would not naturally be there if we were not party to such strategic partnerships. Yes.
Resilience.
Absolutely.
Resilience,
yes.
Right? And in this era where we find ourselves, big contributors to pharmaceuticals and just funding, general funding in different, industries, pulling out the likes of the US.
Yes.
How can we locals, just leverage on that, not just look at it as, this is bad, this is sad, but leverage off of that in order to become resilient in the future in terms of being self-sufficient in pharmaceuticals, leverage off of, even leather manufacturing right here.
Thank you so much. I usually like to say, for one to become sustainable or sufficient, we first of all, at the SME level, we first of all need to set up enterprises that are competitive. Because, you know, in as much as investors are pulling out, it's not like all of them are pulling out. And I usually say the market itself does not know identity. It rewards performance. I actually said that business is business. An investor will not give you his or her resources because you are a woman, because you are a youth, or because you are an SME. Because the same market you are looking at, a man is also looking at, right? So it's very much important for us to set up enterprises that are competitive, enterprises that will produce products that meet standards, quality standards or international standards. And as much as, you know, you spoke of the pharmaceutical industry, you spoke of leather, there are other countries within the SADC region themselves that are producing leather. So Rona as Botswana, what is it that we ought to do for our enterprises to be more marketable as compared to the leather industry and the leather enterprises in Namibia? And then another very important thing, within our SADC region, let's standardize quality procedures. Let's standardize or harmonize our policies in such a way that in the process of becoming sufficient within the region, sufficient within each others as we are independent, I read the product that is coming from Malawi shouldn't go through the same procedure customs in Mozambique. If we are to standardize that, if we are to digitalize our trade procedures as well, it would make it better for compliant SMEs to actually not go through those bureaucratic hurdles at the borders, bureaucratic hurdles in terms of the paperwork and so on and so forth. Yes.
While on that note, Sisha, you know, let's just maybe take us through a general overlook or outlook of our policies. Are they, you know, doing enough to push the industrialization agenda?
Thank you so much for that question. I would say usually we come up with policies and strategies which are not strategic enough. First of all, when we talk of SMEs, we are not supposed to think what they probably need. We need to go back to the very same people that we are setting policies that ought to help them. What is it that you guys need? What is it that you guys want, so that we can be able to put in place policies that will, at the end of the day, serve the purpose of what SMEs are all about. So, you know, looking at the SADC industrialization strategy and roadmap for 2015 to 2063, it is put in place, and, you know, the SADC Secretariat said each member state should implement the strategy as per their national goals, as per their national development plan. So I think in Botswana we might be doing, or we might be making progress, but it's very important for our government to also, you know, put in place strategic, practical solutions in terms of maybe subsidizing land in our special economic zones. Let's subsidize land. Okay, fine. 10 hectares secure shall produce something, move from your small scale to maybe a medium scale. Then in that way, Sesha is going to employ other people. That is a creation of jobs for the youth and women, right? And at the same time, we are scaling up. It is very important for our policies to also look mainly into our regional value chain mapping. Let's see where SMEs fit in better so that they can bridge whatever gap that we find within our special economic zones as well. Yes.
That's just, you know, reminds me of the question that was posed in Parliament not so long ago about, you know, government land and farms that we find just wasting away, or probably being misused. You know, that is quite profound, Sesha. Mantla, what role, you know, how can SADC member states, you know, finance a more inclusive agro, you know, industrial revolution through innovation, investment, and, you know, intra-African trade?
I think even before speaking to the SADC, one thing that we have learned, or we picked, that was very interesting in Madagascar, was how core support local driven they were. I don't remember from the meetings that we had when I drank a non-local drink, they were pro-local. Whatever that we were consuming in those meetings, be it drink, be whatever, it was a locally made product. And it took me back home and I was like, but how much are we supporting our own as a country? What is it that we can pick from this, that we can learn from Madagascar and say, we can do better as a country? You know, for us, we don't have to just exist within SADC. We even have to exist within our landscape, such that when we live here, beyond the borders. We have built charity at home. We have empowered our own at home such that they are competitive enough. I always tell Bosesha Kofisi, you know what, sometimes we believe protectionism or restrictions on importation of products is a solution. And I think one of the posts that I recently made was that such moves are actually temporary. They are buying time, but what are you buying within that time? Is it the time that you are using to capacitate to build local industry such that when you close on cement, for example, how many local, especially citizens, are benefiting within that space? If there's no one, if it's just these big companies, what are you doing as a government to empower Sesha or any other Botswana who has a potential to play within that space? So mine is, as Botswana, as much as we identify as part of SADC, let us also identify as Botswana who is a player within the SADC space and empower our own. It should not be we shouldn't be uncultured in our spirit of supporting our own. It has to be something, a culture that we are intentional about to say, you know what, for Botswana to be able to play as an equal, as a competitor, they must be empowered at home. We should not be begging for procurement to be inward looking. That should not be a culture that we have as a country. We should be culture such that we know it's something, it's there in our DNA to say, you know what, if it is a toilet paper that is made home, I will not buy any other that is not made. It should not be even written black and white, because when you make it black and white, you are obviously triggering other things that are outside our space of trade, which we must trade with other SADC countries. So I think we really need to flip the script ourselves, interrogate ourselves and say, but where did we get it wrong? And the one thing that we have gotten wrong is the spirit of ownership to say, you know what, this is my country, this is my product, these are my people, and we are going to empower our own so that they can be part of the proud SADC industrialization.
We've heard how Botswana is strategically positioning itself within the SADC and AfCFTA. The path forward involves a strong commitment to regional collaboration, empowering local businesses, and fostering a pro-local mindset. The goal is clear: to build a resilient, competitive, and self-sufficient economy. Now, we want to hear from you. What do you think is the single most important thing Botswana can do to become a leader in regional trade? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video insightful, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to share it with your network and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth analysis on Botswana's economic development and regional integration.